This is going to be quite an evening of racing here at the Hickory Motors Speedway. We're going to have Tony Stevens, Lenny Baticki, Steve Post, and plenty more that will be taking part in tonight's festivities, as this is the 5th time we've been able to put on an event of this nature at this historic racetrack. There's so much to look forward to. We've heard of the term rose-tainted glasses. Well, how about the term rose retrospect? What that means is you look back more fondly on the times of yesteryear than what is facing you here today. Well, the opportunity to bring those moments to life are present here tonight at Hickory, and we're going to do it for, as we mentioned, the 5th time. As we mentioned, we've got a healthy field of cars behind us here on the main straightaway, and there is so much to look forward to. But it's not the only bit of racing action that we've had here so far in 2022 on the Cars Late Model Tour. We've had several races under our belts already this year, and this is destined to be one of the best of the year at Hickory, with everything that has been taking place all throughout the form of motorsports that we've seen. And with that, have the opportunity here now to formally, I should say, or hopefully welcome in the voice of the Cars Late Model Tour, who just wrapped up an exciting qualifying session not that long ago, Tony Stevens, who joins us up here on set. Tony, it's been quite the day.
It has been quite the day in all sorts of the word, Eric. We're glad to have everybody here. Certainly a fun time here at the Hickory Motor Speedway, as my hat's about ready to go off. You like that?
I think it fits.
I didn't
perfectly.
fit it with the headset when I bought it, but I thought it looked good. I'm just saying. Oh, there it went. That's okay. I'll embarrass myself in front of the world. That's fine. Nonetheless, cool to be here. I'm glad to have you here. We've got Steve Post up in the booth with us tonight. We've got Glenn Jarrett as one of our legends here today, and he's going to be joining the broadcast as well. Lenny Baticki is on pit road, and I have to even say this. Let's just start very simple. I'm happy we're even here. I'm happy we got this working. This is the first time we tried something like this. Like everything good. It had hiccups, but we made it work, and that's half the fight. So certainly cool to see that. And I think one of the most important parts, Eric, about this entire thing is what is this race and what makes it special? And you've watched this race.
Oh, yeah.
We've been part of it for a while. What to you makes this race so special?
I feel like that there's a bit of momentum as far as being able to look back and reflect on what some would call simpler times. And it's not just in motorsports. Remember last year, Major League Baseball did the Field of Dreams game. Obviously, there's a lot of attention being played to the revival of racetracks that we almost lost forever. But this event has the ability to quite literally bring those moments back to life. And I'm talking about the fans in attendance, the legends who are here. Of course, the fact that, as Jack mentioned, who heads up the Cars Tour, 70% participation of throwback paint schemes and liveries. This is
I think it was more than that even.
It's incredible. Yeah. It's literally a step into a time machine. And what better place than Hickory to do this? It's incredible, and somehow it gets bigger every single year.
I agree. It really certainly does. In fact, I even have the poster, and we'll go into this for just a second before we take a look at some of our track facts from Iracing. Folks, this is the poster. If you know, well, they're on a different shot now, but that's okay. Go figure.
There we
You'll
go.
have that. There it is. There's the poster, and this isn't even complete. There were about 4 or 5 more cars that submitted a throwback scheme after this poster was printed. So, to our knowledge, the highest number of throwback schemes ever for this event, Eric, and that's pretty cool. But what is Hickory Motor Speedway, and what is this place like? IRacing recently scanned this place, and it gave us a better idea about what this place looks like and what to do with it. And it's really, really a neat racetrack at 0.363 miles. I love this place. Didn't have a lot of time over an iRacing, and I'm not very good at it. But to watch these guys, and there it is, they mimicked this place down to the millimeter, and they nailed it. And it really gives you a feel for the first time ever what it's actually like to race the birthplace of the NASCAR stars.
The bumps off of 3 and 4 and on the main straightaway, and the fact that the surface is as old and abrasive as it has been. In fact, Glenn Jarrett, who we're going to hear from later, he says he believes that the pavement is as old as what they had back when his dad was running this facility way back in the day. But it doesn't matter the car. You have to ensure that you keep your stuff underneath you. And as you mentioned, the folks at iRacing did a masterful job of being able to capture this environment and this historic facility, which we're about to see play out here in real time in just a short while from now.
Absolutely. And in fact, speaking of the iRacing track scan, Caden Honeycutt, who's going to be part of this event here in the number 45 car, the throwback car to one of the old modifieds in the Virginia region. Well, he's an iRacing star on the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. That's a mouthful. But he's also a star on the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour with a couple of wins and a runner-up finish in the championship last year. So we had a chance to talk to Caden and be like, dude, what's this place like, and how much have you used iRacing to figure out Hickory Motor Speedway?
So down the back stretch, very bumpy, going into turn 3, still more bumps. See the front end kind of dart. It's glued right to the yellow line. Is the biggest grip strip on the racetrack. Very easy to overdrive turn 1. You got the big dip, couple bumps, and this place is really tough to get around. But you know, when you stay on the bottom, you know you got the front turn. Looks like the front turn's just good enough to be able to play on the bottom and plant the power down. It's very tricky, but like what he's driving right here is very smooth on the game, but on real life, I can assure you, it's like putting a mouthpiece in and playing tackle football with your football buddies. So it's tough, but that's what it is. He looks like he's pretty consistent, stay on the bottom, turn pretty good laps, easy on the throttle control. This place is as low grip as possible, I would say. I'm not sure what they're going to do for next year, but just, yeah, I mean, you get on all the way down to the concrete, and all the way down the concrete. You can even use it if you would like to be able to pass somebody if your car handles that well. Even use the apron down here in turn 3 and 4 if you had to if you had any possible moment to make a charge.
Well, we talked about all that is going on here as far as the throwback schemes that are out here, and we all have our favorites, of course, but as far as being able to be a team of this nature, this stature, and compete on the Cars Late Model Tour, you've got a lot of work that you've got to do in order to make sure that not only you put the work in to get the wraps done, but also to be able to try to match what you're trying to replicate. And as Tony and I talked earlier, I think this year has to be one of the best from top to bottom in terms of teams that have gone that extra step, and including all sorts of icons and logos and articles to be able to put things together to make these cars look like what they were intended to. And we'll be highlighting several examples a little bit later on as well. As you see, a lot of the drivers and competitors getting ready. We talked about paint schemes. That, of course, throwback to Tim Richmond back in the day, who is going to be participating in this event here as well. And the historic nature and tendency of this race is something that we continue to highlight, and the fact that this racing surface is as old and abrasive as it once was. We heard Caden Honeycutt in the iRacing highlights earlier talk about reference points and things to focus on and things to be looking towards, but one of the things that's different about the venue here today is the fact it's rubbered up quite a bit. And speaking of participants in tonight's race, let's turn it over now to Carter Langley, who's going to be in the field here tonight. Carter joins us now here at the desk as we get set for this pre-race show. And Carter, just before you walked up, first off, great job playing the part. The fire suit looks great. You have one of the coolest throwbacks in the field. I'll let you tell the story. How'd you select this livery for tonight?
Yes, sir. It's 1979 Dale Earnhardt throwback scheme.
Let's give us a show of that there.
I got the Damn I'm Good shirt on right now. I'm, of course, not as good as he is, but I try to be at least, and hopefully we can finish off the night like he does most of the time when he races and pick up a win here.
I will tell you, I was sitting up in the grandstands when qualifying began just a short while ago, and when that car rolled out, not all the fans that are here right now were in attendance, but those who were, they made some noise. The question now becomes, you matched the car perfectly. What is it going to take for you to find success with it? Are you going to have to be a little rough and rugged like the Intimidator was back in the day, or are you going to have to mind your manners to make it to the end of this race this evening?
Yeah, I might have to. I know he didn't ever save much tire, but I feel like tonight is going to end up being a tire game, and I'm going to have to get in some people's head like he would, and maybe do something out of the ordinary and might not save much tire and just go like he would.
Now, is your whole family, your team behind you in this as well? I mean, it looks like you've gone top to bottom, full bore. Perhaps if there was an award for who went full send, I'm pretty sure you would take it home. The family all behind you as well? They're loving it? Any nicknames over the radio during practice so far today?
No, not really. We've just been really focused on getting the car right. We struggled. We were good yesterday at the beginning of practice, and then today at the beginning of practice we weren't too good. But I think we dialed it back in, and hopefully we'll have a good piece for the race.
I think I recall Jimmy Johnson doing a throwback of this nature, but I got to tell you, it just hits different on a late model. It's absolutely incredible. Good luck tonight. Give the fans one more look at that T-shirt so that way they can see it there, and hopefully we can get you with the cowboy hat on as you walk off. Yep. Carter Langley, who will be in the field here tonight, one of the most recognizable cars that you could find. And Carter, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And with that, I believe we are going to, for the first time, potentially work our way trackside to Lenny Baticki, who is standing by.
Well, I'm not only trackside, I'm beside Steve Park and Kerry Earnhardt. And Kerry, you got the pole position there next to Shauna. How'd you get that rain?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know, every time we're racing together, we're always by each other. In the pits, we're always parked beside each other. So I guess it's fitting we're sitting here beside each other doing autographs.
You know, she used to drive them big 18-wheeler trucks. You better be nice to her.
I know, that's kind of intimidating. I mean,
Speaking of the intimidator and all your laps around here and stuff like that, what was it like back in the day at Hickory?
it was a lot of fun. We had good crowds out here and a good show of cars. We had a lot of cars out here, and had them Townsend late models and Kerry Botenheimer. He had some great chassis built for us, and just had a lot of fun out here. And it's good to be back here and just see all the fans.
Got a lot of Earnhardt schemes. I know we were chatting about the blue and yellow one that Carter Langley has, but you had another one as well. Tell us about the paint schemes and what you think.
I'm good here.
Yeah,
in the
it's
booth,
really
whatever
cool.
Needs to be done.
That number 2 blue and yellow Wrangler color stood out pretty big to me. And then I seen the kid driving it wearing a cowboy hat, so he's got to be a pretty cool dude. So, and then the car right beside him was number 8, like my granddad, Ralph Earnhardt's car. So it's pretty neat to see all these throwback paint schemes around here, and it's just going to be fun, a lot of fun watching these guys put on a show tonight.
Does being here in Hickory remind you of, man, I'm racing Saturday night and I got to go over to the dealership Monday?
Yeah, a lot. There's a lot of times I'd leave dealership on Saturday morning to come here and race Saturday night.
Well, we're glad he's here with us. Kerry Earnhardt, we'll be back to talk to more of these cats. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you very much, Lenny. As you look at the front straightaway there, populated with all those throwbacks, Deke McCaskill's, Carl Edwards' car right there in the front of the line, among others. Tim Richmond's car, a.k.a. Jonathan Schaefer, is there, and so many others as the Fan Fest begins to wind down here at the Hickory Motor Speedway. We're probably about 15 minutes or so away from ending that Fan Fest, but you know what? We've got a race to run here tonight, and it has been a while since the Cars Tour late model stocks and the Pro late models were on track. In fact, 6 weeks for the late model stocks and 5 weeks for the pros. So in case you're a little fuzzy about how those last 2 races turned out and who's riding which wave of momentum coming into Hickory, let's take a look back at both of those races to refresh all of our memories coming into this, the Honeywell Home Throwback 276. Race number 7 of the 2022 Tour, the Virginia's for Lovers 125. Mason Diaz will lead the field through the KRC Power Steering start zone, and the Virginia's for Lovers 125 is underway. And caution is out for that giant piece of whatever it is on the back straightaway. There it is.
Well, obviously, Tony, you can see here the considerable amount of damage here on the left side door here. You can see that big hole.
Yeah, big time there. The 95 checks up, but Connor...
Look at Jarrett Fryer.
Yeah, really just nowhere to go.
And the drag race to turn number 1 may have been won by Landon Pembleton. Look at him on the outside. Big run down the backstretch. Can he clear Diaz for the race lead? Last new leader scored on lap 50. Landon Pembleton, whether it was by an inch or a mile, his nose crossed the line first.
Here.
This is a fantastic race for battle for the race lead.
Connor Hall back to the inside of Landon Pembleton. Gets a really good run out of turn 2, charging turn 3.
This is a career run for Jacob Hefner. He's had some good ones before, but 18th to 4th, now looking for 3rd on one of the nation's hottest prospects in Landon Pembleton. This is one that I think Jacob Hefner is going to circle and go, man, we belong in the Cars Tour after a run like this. I think everybody else is going to say that. We are under caution, and that is exactly what Jacob Hefner wanted to see. Not so much Brandon Pierce, as it slows us with approximately 13 laps to go. Check that. Race control has just come across. They knew it was a tire. They have issued a 2-lap penalty to Carson Quapple for intentionally stopping to bring out a yellow. And for the second time in his Cars Tour career, Connor Hall will emerge a winner at the Virginia's for Lovers 125. Connor Hall is now a 2-time winner in the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour.
The Keene 200 about to go green. We've got our first race on track here at Tri-County Motor Speedway in Hudson, North Carolina, and down through turns 1 and 2. William Swallich assumes the point. Gets up there too high.
And caution is out on the speedway. It looks like there may be, I think we might have some sailboat fuel over in turn number 2, so yellow is out. They are going under the hood on the Luke Finhouse car, and that is never a good sign. That is Michael Hind as he shoots up the second after they went through the KRC power steering restart zone.
There we go. Well, not to be ignored is Jet Nolan. He goes to the inside. He's up the long side of the rear wheel. A little bit of contact.
Side by side down the backstretch. They nearly trade paint. This time Nolan going to make the inside work on Katie Hettinger.
That flaming race car.
Oh, big problems. Back straightaway. Katie Hettinger, Jet Nolan. It's the original Hamke. It's a Clattenburg Racing fabrication car.
Whoa, Hettinger spinning. Slayman Floridian back there gets a little sideways, and Ruggiero is on a mission. But Hines slides it. Look at that slide. He almost saved it.
Oh, watch out, Austin McDonald. One car, 2 cars on the outside wall.
Them up front. Ruggiero right at the door of the 6, pushes him up. Ruggiero wants that top spot once again. Flag in the air for William Swalich.
Final trip around the Tri-County Speedway for Minnesota's William Sawalich. A year ago, he made a super late model debut here, put it on the pole, it ended in the fence. Tonight, he will work his way off turn 4 and claim his 2nd career Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour Pro late model win. A 2-time Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour Pro late model winner. Well, that was some pretty exciting racing, Eric. There was no doubt about that. That was some pretty exciting stuff because of the fact that, the pro race, they got really aggressive there late. The late model stock race, always good at Dominion. And I'll tell you one thing, it really jazzes me up for this race here tonight because Hickory never disappoints.
And you mentioned it's been quite a while since these cars were on track, so as if this event wasn't enough incentive, the fact they haven't, for many of them, have been waiting for this race to take place. And we've been talking constantly about what makes this race special, and the little child in me has to love the paint schemes. Well, we actually polled some of our staff, if you will, and took a look at some of the best top 5 paint schemes of this event in its short history.
And there's a 3-way tie for 5th. We couldn't decide. The first one, Stroker Race, and this is what made this paint scheme what it was. He had the chicken suit, did Craig Moore. You can't run that car without the chicken suit.
Oh, and the car it fit perfectly as well, and obviously you could see running really well at this very difficult. But this is one of my favorite here, the Kodak car. I believe this was Jarrett Irvin who was at the wheel, and that's a car that, of course, Ernie had much success in. But in going back and watching this race, I felt like I was watching Sterling Marlin win one of the Daytona 500s in this thing. It looks so good.
That was my hometown team growing up. I still claim Abington as home. Brought back a lot of memories for me. This one is one a lot of folks loved. We kind of forgot a little bit. Jeff Batten, when that thing rolled out, video does not do it justice. That number 2 car from Mark Martin's ASA days in the early 80s, they nailed that car. Great scheme for Jeff Batten and company.
Well, how about here? We move on over to number 4. I remember the Nesquik number 10 when Scott Riggs drove it to much success, nearly a championship. Well, it looks like they brought it back from the dead as well here, and I believe that's Lane Riggs made a truck debut last night.
Yeah, finished 7th, but he had a good run that night as well. This one was cool. The first and only time one of our legends in attendance went to Victory Lane. Ryan Repko, there you see it. He and Dave Marcus swapped headwear. It was great.
That one was on my list, of course. But you got to love the Miller High Life car. Of course, Rusty Wallace drove this to prominence in the Cup days in the early 90s. And again, matched it all the way through front to back. But here's number 1. And my, who would have thought?
Minnie Terrell, everything. Crew was decked out. Car was identical. A fire suit, everything. That one, to our crew, they said that was the number 1 throwback paint scheme of all time so far in the Throwback 276. That one was really, really cool, and we were certainly a big fan of that one.
Oh, yeah, and I'll tell you, that Ryan Repko one, that was on my personal best and favorite. But speaking of legends, you mentioned Dave Marcus was here that night that Repko won. Well, let's hear from some more. Let's go back to Lenny Baticki on the front straightaway.
Down here by turn 4, exit of turn 4, and I'm with Craig Moore, who, as I have said before, didn't need a throwback because he's been doing this long enough. He is a throwback. What's the story on this car and the color combination?
So, man, I started racing in '99, and we always wanted. I was a big Dale Earnhardt fan, and I really liked the Bass Pro Shops car, and I've run this scheme for years and years and years, and, I said I'm not saying I'm on fair world tour, but, I'm getting up in age now. I'm 40, be 45 this year, and I got some 11-year-old kids coming along to drive for me, and, it's kind of like my farewell scheme, and I'm kind of throwing it back to myself, man. My wife, like I say, she didn't really approve of it, but I told her, I said, this is what we're going to do. But I love the black and gold colors, man. It's really like a traditional racing colors from back in the day, Smokey Unique, Dale Earnhardt, and just really like that color.
You get a top 10, she'll be okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I give her the money.
Well, Craig Moore, beautiful number 1 car. Keep an eye on it. We're going to go for a grid walk here. Thanks, Craig. Take a look at this Richard Petty 43. Starkey.com on it. Of course, that's William Swallich. Awesome looking vehicle. You know, Petty actually uses Starkey hearing assists. Now, how about this from Lee Falk and Company, the Foxy's 82. I'm not old enough to read the whole thing. Then you got Travis Quaffle, who I believe this was Travis. Oh, he's in conversation over there. We were going to, I believe this is his dad's old scheme back when Travis Quaffle was doing this. Now, we've talked already to Jonathan Schaefer, but I'm telling you, if you're just tuning in, look at this car. Hayden, stay over there. I'm going to go over on this side because I got to go see that mustache one more time. Look over here at my guy Hayden. So they're just tuning in. They hadn't seen our interview earlier. Tell us about the car and all this outfit.
Yeah, I mean, we got to have the Tim Richmond look here. Got the mustache, got a better mullet this year. Just trying to look the part this year.
I talked to your dad a little bit, and he raced a little bit in the truck series in Xfinity, and didn't the Richmonds kind of help him along at some point?
Yeah, Al Richmond helped my dad get started building his ARCA shop and truck shop and everything, and also got his start into racing. They would ride snowmobiles. They live in our hometown and everything, so just thought it'd be good to give a throwback to Tim Richmond here this weekend.
Give a shout-out to Ashland, Ohio.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Ashland, Ohio.
Well, awesome. Best mustache in the garage, even if it comes off when he needs it to come off. Jonathan Schaefer in this Tim Richmond throwback. And right here, if you'll stay there, take a paint of this car, the ARCA Series champion who raced last night at this very moment at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Raj, what's the story with this car?
Well, it's very cool to represent my school in Chevrolet and throw it back to Dale Jr., which I feel like is one of the best guys to do it. He was a big inspiration for a lot of us kids growing up in the 2000s, and him and all the Hendrick guys. So to throw back to him in a Chevy, it's pretty awesome.
Top 10 finish, I believe, last night in Indy. How do you take what you learned and drove up there and keep that momentum going for here?
It'll be interesting, right? Last night we were on radials, and we're on general or bias plies tonight. So I haven't been on a bias ply in a year, and haven't been here in a year. So it's kind of just refreshing myself. But this is some of the most fun racing and most competitive racing in the world, and it's fun. I can go at it stress-free and not racing for a championship, and just work on my craft and hopefully come out with a really good result.
Well, you ain't been here in a year, but this old place, it's still nasty hard, but you've changed and gotten much better. Raja Caruth, known him since he was a little young cat and just doing so good. Kirby, is that what on your
That's my middle name, man.
Okay.
That's my middle name.
So that's your new Twitter handle, right?
Yeah, Roger Kirby Caruth.
There you go. Hook him up, man. Tune in, be able to check out some great stuff. Now, what did Dale Jr. say? What about Kyle Petty? Well, look at this 51 car, Chase Dixon back there. Yeah, we watched Dale Jr. download. Now, there's a Soda Sense machine.
All right.
Now, this car looks the same way, but I see this driver maturing and getting better and better and better.
Did you want me standing in front of the banner?
Luke,
you said it was good, but I moved around a little bit.
We finally get our look at you in victory lane.
Okay, just standing probably where I'm at now then.
We'll find out here in a second,
okay,
but
cool.
Hopefully the rain will stay off. I think it will. And, we'll do our best to stay clean the whole night. Obviously, the late model stock, we got some work to do, but, just got to keep going to the front, save as much as we can. Obviously, the pro car, I think we're in decent starting-wise shape, so just got to take care of it and be there at the end.
Sample set now pretty big enough of racing in the South versus racing back at home. What is the point of difference that you see between A and B and B and A?
God, that's a tough one. I love my racing back home. I really do. I think the Midwest has some of its best short track racing in the country, and I think the late model stocks can't beat it. This is some of the best in the country as well. So it's good to come down here and compete with these guys, and good to go back up there and compete with those guys. So.
Driving-wise, though, do they drive deeper into the corner? Do they arc? Do they momentum different? What do they do?
I mean, the big difference is the late model stock. That's way different than a super late. Just with the brakes and heavier race car and steering box in the late model stock, it's way different than a super late or even a pro. The pro's really close to a super late. So I'm enjoying it, and hopefully we can get a win soon.
Driver continuing to work on his craft, had a great year last year, came and earned his way this year. He's going to continue to be one to watch. And we're going to scoot down. This track's got some banking. You don't think it is, because it does look flat on TV most of the time. But there is the Top Gun Motorsports machine. Lee Tissett's race car is here. I'm going to get over to Zach Miracle. In fact, Hayden, if you would, back up a little bit more. We're going to look at Cody King's Jeff Gordon car back when he was in the Baby Ruth machine for Bill Davis Racing. And I think Jeff is over here, but you're a lot taller, Jeff, now. How'd you come up with this one?
So we're the #1 scheme normally for racing here at the Cars Tour. So we just honestly looked for an iconic #1 car. And, of course, what came to mind was Jeff Gordon's #1 paint scheme from 1992. Won his first ever Busch Series race that year, and I mean, that's an important year for Jeff himself, and as Jeff is such a big role in motorsports in general, being the broadcaster, and it's just it's super iconic, the driver and the car, so we decided to go with that. And
Did you have Jeff Gordon diecast when you were a kid? Do you still, maybe?
I wasn't ever really into diecast. I might have one at the house, though.
There you go, Cody King. I'll tell you, he gets this victory. Somebody's going to sell a Baby Ruth car to him for a lot of money, one of those older cars. Now, Zach Miracle's machine, look at this #8, the Raybestos brakes, back when Jeff Burton drove that. I mean, that is some kind of memories going on through there. Great looking car. And if you go to Cars TV, you can watch the video that Jeff Burton actually saw this car, talked about this car. Amazing stuff. Look at the 28 here. I mean, that is awesome. Jonathan Findlay recollecting the old 28 and the black and silver. That is special. Now, I was an announcer back in the late 80s at Hialeah Speedway, and this car here, and Toast, who is the team owner, because there's his driver back there, but tell us about this car. I know about it, but let the folks know why this one's so special.
This is a Hialeah 1996, 1997 throwback to Joe Winchell. Won the Super Late Model Championship down there, and that's what I grew up watching. Well, I don't really remember much of it because I was about 1, maybe 2. But, you know, this was what, you know, a ton of pictures that I remember seeing, and Joe's here with us, a bunch of Florida family and friends and crew members, teams. My dad was a crew chief on this car. Just a lot of memories, and super special for our whole team, just organization. It's a good time.
So the Greater Miami Racing Association that used to run Hialeah Speedway, if you're tuned in out there, y'all watch this car. This one's going to be one to watch. It's got the Carroll family in it. We'll scoot on back and try not to run the lady over that is right behind you. Oh, she got out of the way just in time. That was really cool. Got cars on this side. Now look at this. This is a pole sitter. How about, and we need some barley pops. Doesn't that look like Pabst? I read Pabst. I know it says F first team, but this is the Dick Trickle throwback paint scheme that is being run, and wow. That is just amazing. Connor Hall doing that one. There's Dylan Wilson. And now we'll get one last one over here. Man, Clark Houston sitting on this car, leaning back. Granddad drove one that looked just like it. He's sitting over there signing autographs. How does this moment feel to you to have this piece here right on Hickory Motor Speedway?
You know, it's cool, man. I never got to see this car race, obviously, but, you know, I've heard stories and seen pictures and stuff like that, and it really means a lot, and I hope Pop liked it. I know he did, but it's really cool. It means a lot to the family, so.
Well, it means a lot to a lot of us that got to see it win here in the early 90s. Clark Houston in the Tommy Houston replica, and that's a pretty quick walk down pit lane. There's more cars up there. You got to twist in that dial, lock it in, rip off the knob, because we've got great racing coming up from Hickory Motor Speedway. The Cars Tour Throwback 76, back to the booth.
Thank you so much, Lenny Baticki. The only thing better than a Lenny Baticki grid walk is to actually be here at the racetrack walking it yourself. And I got to tell you, while Tony Stevens went off to handle some duties with our legends who are here on track, we'll be hearing from him in just a short while. But Raja Karu touched on something that hit home for me, and that was that he was inspired by his throwback during the early 2000s, which was also when I got involved in the sport. Well, 2003 NASCAR Truck Series champion Travis Kvapil has left quite a footprint in the grassroots portion of racing, and as his sons continue to impress on their craft as a race car driver, we thought we would check in with Travis as well as Brian Schaefer to get a little bit more of their story with their throwback layouts and designs here tonight.
Hey everybody, this is Travis Kvapil and Brian Schaefer, Carson's dad and Carson's crew chief. So we're here at the Hickory Throwback, and it's a really neat race. We I think as teams and fans,
is this position-wise good? Do you need me closer?
Enjoy coming to it. A lot of paint schemes to look back on, and a lot of memories that come up through it, come from it. We ended up with the paint scheme for Carson.
Awesome. All right, cool.
I really kind of stayed out of it, and
I'm
I
headed to
really
the
didn't have much to do with it.
How they do, and this is how
I
they
suggested
do graphics
maybe
for
something
the
from Dale Jr.'s past or Kelly's past or LW's past, and I think they've kind of been there, done that often.
It was more Dale Jr.'s idea. He it needed to be something that we could keep our sponsor's name on and everything, and Dale Jr. kind of researched it and come up with it. Okay. So we kind of went with it.
It's absolutely the best one, no doubt. No, it's definitely the
Grey
I would
Ghost
say
car?
the easiest one,
Okay,
but
cool.
In my eyes,
What's
it's
after that?
the coolest one.
Probably for our place, the best one was probably Kelly's car. It got the more attention than anybody's probably.
Okay, cool.
I think, for me, it's neat. I've ran a lot of different race cars, a lot of different sponsors, and a lot of different team owners. And I kind of forget this plain white 06 car that I ran 3 or 4 times at the fall of 2004.
I forgot what your first race was.
Well, actually, I was thinking about it. Yeah, I was thinking of my first race was Homestead in 04, but it was actually Martinsville, fall of 04. And we were joking earlier a couple weeks ago that Dale Jr. probably recommended it and suggested this paint scheme because we were at Homestead, like my 3rd or 4th Cup race. Dale Jr. ended up wrecking me and turning me to the inside wall. So maybe that's why he had such a memory of this car. It is neat, growing up as a kid, seeing a lot of these paint schemes on the track, and actually mine was one of them. So it's cool to look at some of this stuff. I saw a few of them that I don't recognize, and definitely want to learn the history about more of them and figure out what the story is behind it.
Love the Travis Kvapil story. As Eric mentioned, just what a footprint he is leaving in the sport. Steve Post up here in the announcer's booth. So excited to be part of this 5th annual Throwback 276, the Honeywell Homes Throwback. And Travis Kvapil, I think about his history, 2003 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series champion. Yeah, yours truly. I was his PR guy. He drove the IWX motor freight truck to that championship. If you recall, the funny story with that one is when we sat on the front stretch, there was all kinds of confusion on the points battle. Travis and I sat there, it seemed like 3 days on the front stretch waiting to find out that we won the championship. I love the legacy he is leaving with his boys as they are both racing here tonight. Now, the paint schemes on these cars are absolutely amazing. And one of my favorite ones is the Harry Raniere Grey Ghost. Yeah, we think of the Grey Ghost and we think of Buddy Baker and that Daytona 500 win. But this car, a little bit of a twist here on at Hickory Motor Speedway. This is a little bit of a twist to Bobby Ellis. And so we see these Cars Tour late model stocks. They have their traditional paint scheme, their normal paint scheme. So the question is, how do they come up with these paint schemes and how do they apply them to the race car? Steve Dunn is a graphic designer, and he shows us how these graphics are done with these race cars, and that one in particular.
Hey everybody, Stephen Dunn, GSX Wraps here at Hickory Motor Speedway. Throwback weekend. I wanted to give you guys just kind of a step-by-step on how we wrapped this particular car, which is Jonathan Finley's car. It's a throwback to Bobby Allison, his Grey Ghost car. As you can see, this one's a little bit different. It's not a full wrap. It's car's black, so we used the black in this actual race car. Silver metallic, which we put on the hood and the roof. And then we've got a product called Finish Line tape, and that's how you see this really clean line that kind of breaks up the black and the silver. And on the number here, as you can see, this particular number is a mirror metallic mirror silver color. That's an overlay over the red vinyl. Everything else is digitally printed and cut. Like I said, it's a cool looking car where we kind of used the black from the actual race car, implemented some elements of metallic, silver, and then some printed cut graphics. So that's pretty much the gist of what we did here for Jonathan Finley and his throwback to Bobby Allison. This car, how long did it take Jonathan Finley? About 4 hours? About 4 hours to wrap it from start to finish. So, but that's kind of it. That's the nuts and bolts here behind the scheme that we did for Bobby Allison.
Wow, fascinating stuff. And again, that car, so neat. Spent a lot of time with Buddy Baker talking about that Gray Ghost car, the Harry Raniere-owned car. What an iconic car in NASCAR. And, of course, we always think about it with Buddy, but, yeah, Bobby Allison and others drove that car. That car was always fast and always, always really neat. Now, this is the 5th annual Throwback 276 here at Hickory Motor Speedway. Throwbacks have been such a big part of motorsports over the last few years. Of course, NASCAR does their throwback down at Darlington, and what a weekend that is. Great, great storytelling. Great, great time to go and just kind of relive the history of the sport. The Cars Tour, this is the 5th annual Throwback weekend. No better place on the planet to do it there at Hickory Motor Speedway. Jack Mcnelly is the series owner of the Cars Tour, and Tony Stevens caught up with him to talk a little bit about the concept, and also maybe some of Jack's favorites along the way.
Well, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. There's so many great ones. The AC Delco 2 is really good. The 44 Slim Jim kind of stands out. 43 Richard Petty. I could go on and on. I don't have a favorite, to be honest with you. I think they're all great. And the thing that I'm excited about, I didn't do the math on it just yet, but I think we got about 80% of these 45 cars, 80% are in throwback scheme. That's amazing. That's amazing. And it just shows that these guys really, really, really stepped up. And I really appreciate it.
Are there any of the schemes you more personally identify with, be it from your history, from your child, from stories, from racing days? Anything that really you have a link to more than others?
Probably the Petty car. I mean, that's when I really got involved with the 43. The Slim Jim, the 44, and the Baby Ruth car. Baby Ruth, yeah, that's pretty big.
I really love what Jack Mcnelly has done with this event. This is just so, so neat, that's for sure. And the legends have gathered, that is for sure. And the stories that go behind these cars, some of the cars, very, very personal stories, and we'll share some of those over the course of the broadcast. Dylan Ward has just a really, really neat personal story. There's a couple of grandfather tribute cars here. And then there's some real popular cars and cars we know. There's an STP number 43. There's a couple of Earnhardt cars. And there is a Jeff Burton Ray Bestis car. Wow, man, I'll tell you what, that is really, really neat. And there is a lot going into this car. The Jeff Burton Ray Bestis paint scheme, of course, is Zach Miracle. Zach Miracle, a great young racer. I've been following Zach Miracle's career back in his Legends days over at the Summer Shootout. And Zach Miracle, Jay Hedgecock, Jeff Burton, all put this one together. And, well, we had a chance to catch up with everybody as they share how this all came together.
Speedsport has been America's motorsports authority since 1934. Get news, results, and commentary from the most connected experts in the business, covering all forms of motorsports from flat track to NASCAR and everything in between. Bookmark Speedsport.com on your mobile device now, or follow Speedsport on social, and be sure to subscribe to the Speedsport Daily. Speedsport is your one-stop shop for all things racing on two wheels and four.
Since 1985, Willie's Carburetor and Dyno Shop has been part of thousands of wins and championships at racetracks across the country. Each Willie's Carburetor is hand-built, sent across a dyno and tuned before shipping. That means your carburetor arrives race-ready. Just bolt it on and go. Plus, Willie's 2 chassis dynos can dial in winning setups for a variety of race cars. Willie's Carburetor and Dyno Shop. the choice of champions.
Yo, bug up, let's go.
I just sat down.
Right side.
2 weeks out from the race, what are you doing? Oh, wait. Is this a chicane? Oh, that looks really good.
Speed Sport has been America's motorsports authority since 1934. Get news, results, and commentary from the most connected experts in the business, covering all forms of motorsports from flat track to NASCAR and everything in between. Bookmark speedsport.com on your mobile device now, or follow Speed Sport on social, and be sure to subscribe to the Speed Sport Daily. Speed Sport is your one-stop shop for all things racing on Speed Sport has been America's motorsports authority since 1934. Get news, results, and commentary from the most connected experts in the business, covering all forms of motorsports from flat track to NASCAR and everything in between. Bookmark speedsport.com on your mobile device now, or follow Speed Sport on social, and be sure to subscribe to the Speed Sport Daily. Speed Sport is your one-stop shop for all things racing on 2 wheels and 4.
Back here at Hickory Motor Speedway, we talked about the legends here. My buddy, Glenn Jarrett, we worked so many races together on Motor Racing Network. When I think of Hickory, I think of the legendary Jarrett family. Glenn, neat to have you as part of our broadcast crew, but it's got to be neat to come back home here to Hickory Motor Speedway for you as well.
Well, thank you, Steve. It is. You know, we all grew up here. We all got our start here. Of course, it started with my dad, and then myself and my brother Dale. And so there's a lot of history here with the Jarrett family. But not only with us, with a lot of other people in NASCAR too. There's so many people that still work in NASCAR that are from the Catawba County area here, and it's always fun to come back to Hickory Speedway.
Really, truly is. That is for sure. When do you recall? When and what is your first recollection ever of being here at Hickory?
Well, honestly, it goes back to the I'm going to say the early 1960s.
Okay.
We actually lived just up the road a piece here, and a buddy of mine would ride our bikes down here on Friday night, and off of between turn 3 and 4 out there was nothing but a pine forest. Now, we were 10 years old, and they didn't charge much for us to get in, but so we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So we would climb the pine trees and watch the race from the pine trees there until we got the skeeters and ticks and all that stuff, until we had enough of it. But that was the early part. And then, of course, when Dad took over managing the Speedway, that was in 1967. And, of course, it was dirt up until then, and we paved it. And, he gave me a flat hammer and a bucket of asphalt, said, go out there and pave that racetrack. So, pow, pow, pow.
Oh, I don't know. This is the thing with Glenn. You roll along well on a story, and then all of a sudden you realize we're veered a little bit off, though. But, I can't imagine as a young guy, your dad, of course, Glenn Jarrett, iconic racer, but I can't imagine being around the Speedway, working at the racetrack, being here for all of it. Just had to be a really neat time. Maybe not at the time, it might not have been. It might have been a lot of hard work at the time, but it's got to be neat now to look back on those days.
Oh, you're exactly right, Steve. There was a lot of hard work, but it was so worth it. And back then in the late 60s and early 70s, there were still some NASCAR touring divisions that came here, some of the big guys. And I know we had a couple of races here where we had 10, 12, 13,000 people in this place. And, looking back at those days and getting to see those guys that Dad had raced against You know, and of course I had known them from growing up at the racetrack. It was a lot of fun. And then of course, you know, when I started driving, after I got out of college, you make new friends, and I just spent a lot of time down there with Tommy Houston. Was always one of my favorite guys who raced in the Grand National Division or the Busch Series at that time. And Tommy and I have been friends a long time. So the memories go way, way, way back, and you never, ever, or I don't ever get tired of reliving them.
I am sure. So you work here. Your dad promotes the racetrack. He does it. What's your first recollection of racing here as you started your driving career?
It all started with a game of golf.
What?
Yep. There's a little golf course in the little town of Maiden down here called Glen Oaks, of all things. Playing in the club championship one weekend. We'd had 2 qualifying rounds. Dale, my brother, my younger brother's a great player. He was 1 shot out of the lead, and I was 4 shots out of the lead. Dale was 3 shots ahead of me. On Saturday morning, we finished up on Saturday and Sunday of that weekend, and I went down there on Saturday morning all ready to play, all primed, because I had a chance to win this golf tournament. I was going to beat my brother. This guy met me in the parking lot. Hey. Said, I just bought a rookie division car at Hickory. The race had been rained out for 4 consecutive weeks, and their driver, who was the legendary football coach at Maiden, Tom Brown, unfortunately a member of his family passed away in Pennsylvania. He had to go to Pennsylvania for the funeral, and so he said, "We want you to drive the car." I'd never driven a race car.
Yeah, so neat.
Yeah, 56 Ford in the rookie division. I said, "Yeah, I'll drive it." Now remember, I had shot 72, 73 in the tournament.
Yeah.
Went out, thought, man, this is going to be a great day. I shot 88.
Whoa.
Blew myself out of the tournament, but I did get to come and run the race. We had 14 cars, and I had about 10 laps of practice right before the race. And I finished 7th out of the 14. So I thought, well, I'm half good, half bad. And this is the way I thought. Okay, there was 14 cars. I'm 7th this week. Next week, if I cut that in half, I'll be third and a half, fourth, something. Then the next week, I'll probably win.
How did that work out?
Well, it took, 1, 2, 3. It took 5 more years before I won. So, but I finally did get there.
That is cool. What was it like to win here?
It was awesome because the guy that I beat was somebody that one of the greatest drivers in the history of our sport, Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Really?
Yeah, I ran him down with about 10 laps to go and got under him, and we bumped and banged a little bit, and I finally got a good bite off of 2, and I came to the white flag, and I thought, I've got it. And so I looked up in the mirror, and there was another guy. Dale's car had gotten really loose, and I looked up in the mirror as I came off of 4 to take the white flag, and the other car was under Earnhardt. I thought, I got him now, so I went on down the backstretch and never looked at the mirror again. Came by, and the one thing that I remember, though, our family ran the Speedway, so Dale, my brother, was working here.
Oh, yeah.
And when I came off of 4, I was looking for that flag, and I looked at the flag stand, and there was my brother. He climbed all the way up beside the flag stand on the fence, cheering me on.
Really?
And I don't remember yes, I won the race. I remember get down from there. Dad's going to kill you.
Man, first win here at Hickory, and he took it off from Dale Earnhardt with his brother hanging off the fence. Really, really neat stuff. Glenn, we're going to tell some more stories over the course of this event. Of course, great to hang out with you. Great to tell stories and catch up on such a historic racetrack, such a historic place. But let's go trackside now where Lenny Baticki is.
Baticki is standing here with Brody. We've been hanging out right along pit road, watching all the cool cars. Brody, which car do you like best?
I like Deke Castle because he's a great driver. He's a great man. His team is great. He does everything. And
are you going to backflip if he wins?
Maybe.
Look at that smile. Smile at the camera. What a cool dude. Now come on over here and meet another. You talk about points leaders. We've got not only the ARCA points leader on this field, but we've got Landon Huffman, points leader in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series points here at Hickory. But you're also an iRacing guy, and we watched earlier a segment about iRacing and all. This track here, where is the point that game hits, and where do you want it to go even deeper next time Junior has him come here?
Well, first of all, Dale's done an excellent job crafting the game in order to give people a sense of realism, So I think when Hickory released, one thing that iRacing does phenomenal is the visuals.
visuals are spot on. If you race on iRacing and then you come out here and you drive around the racetrack in a race car, it looks identical. Now, where the game differs is obviously the physical aspect of it and kind of the sense of speed and things like that. But racecraft on the game is also very real. You have to make real-time decision-making, so racing around other cars is real, but I guess nothing really compares to the real thing. But it will give you a good idea and a good kind of bridge to mend that gap before you get in a real car.
So those kids watching at home can learn a little bit, but when they come to race for real against the points leader, they better be ready, right?
That's right. Better bring big guns.
Landon Huffman, points leader here at Hickory and a star as well in the world of iRacing. And speaking of guys on the internet, Boo Carlisle. Wait, kicking what?
Kicking the Asphalt vlog on YouTube.
Did you do one this week?
Hey, we got plenty coming out this week. We raced at Hickory this past weekend, ran second. We got plenty of Jansen stuff going on. Jansen Marchbanks and the number 44 Slim Jim Ford tonight. So we got plenty of content coming out this week.
What's it like to interact with the fans this way?
It's the best thing about it. You know, you get to meet people from all aspects of life. And, you know, at one point I was up there, didn't know how to get on this side of the fence. So you just got to put yourself out there, you know, believe in yourself.
Wow, Boo Carlisle. Tell me the name of that again.
The Kicking Asphalt blog on YouTube. Just search us. We got plenty. We got 75 videos now. So,
and you're here with Jansen Marchbanks, right? What's his car?
The Slim Jim Ford.
How'd you all come up with that?
When I was a younger kid, I ate a lot of Yoo-Hoos and Slim Jims. And I just happened to say it one day on the vlog, and it really took off. So we got to talking about it, and here we are with the Bobby Labonte Throwback.
Wow, Boo Carlisle, Kicking Asphalt, the blog that he does. It is top notch. We're going to walk over here and see these boots. Look at that. Keely Dubinsky. Look at that. I mean, can that go through the template? That is so tall.
I don't know. Listen, they're from Amazon, and they were supposed to be a lot shorter, and they didn't come until Thursday. So.
Wow. We have to do our obligatory Carson Elledge. Carson, just wave and say hi.
Hi.
Carson Elledge is here. How cool is that? Now, when she was a little girl racing at Millbridge. But here's what we're talking about this racetrack. Look at how I mean, we're down here. This thing's got weeds all grown up in it. That's character. That's what it's all about. These guys, they're going to have to race out here. And when you get out onto the track itself, it ain't much prettier. Look at down there. You can see, I'm sure that some NASCAR Hall of Famer probably rode over that part of it as well as this part. These cars are going to line up here. We're a few minutes away from getting the green flag out. The weather already set. The cars are ready to go, and let's go back to the front of the field and up to the booth.
Absolutely, Lenny Baticki down here. He mentions the pavement, Glenn. We in motorsports love old, worn-out racetracks, and boy, we've got one here at Hickory, that's for sure.
Absolutely, Steve. I hate it any time that I hear that any racetrack is going to be repaved because it just there's so much grip that it kills the competition. Here, you're not only fighting the other 25 or 30 cars that you're racing against, you're fighting that asphalt because, trust me, this thing was paved in 1967. It's been patched a couple of times in places, but not a full repave. And when it gets hot and humid like it is right now, it gets slick. And you gotta sit up in the seat and get tall in the wheel because the racetrack is going to give you a fit trying to find a place where you can get some grip. So
really,
it's a tough place.
God, I love that. I absolutely love all worn-out racetracks. Did you get a chance to look at any paint schemes out there? Is there anything that jumped out at you that you were able to see there during qualifying and as the cars were out on the track in practice?
Oh, yeah. One of them, the Orange Blossom Special that Dennis Setzer used to drive, and Jerry Ray Fox, guys that before Dennis came along that owned and drove that car. But the Richard Petty, the Tommy Houston throwback scheme. Let's see, Kurt Busch.
The Sharpie car looks good.
Yeah, there were several of them out there that I thought were really, really well done. But I think my favorite one is the Gray Ghost 28. That thing is it. When I saw it first, right after I got here this afternoon, the cars were qualifying. And I saw that car go out like, oh, wow, it took me right back to – I know that was probably more based on the one that Bobby Allison drove, but reminded me of when he won the Daytona 500 in that car. And that was a fast car.
Neat stuff, that's for sure. Glenn Jarrett and Steve Post here in the booth. And one of the questions is, how did the drivers arrive at their specific paint schemes? Take a look at this.
I'm throwing back to my dad, Travis Quapple. This is his first ever NASCAR Cup Series start back in 2004 at Martinsville. This weekend at Hickory Motor Speedway doing the Tim Richmond Throwback. Tim Richmond helped my dad actually get his start into racing. Tim and Al Richmond helped my dad go to the shop.
I'm throwing back to the 2004 Kurt Busch Sharpie car that he won his championship at Homestead. I always thought this car was super cool, and I remember, obviously that was one of the first cars I saw growing up as a NASCAR fan, really young.
Throwing it back to Carl Edwards, 99 Aflac car. Just always been a big fan of Carl. I always thought he was one of them drivers who left too soon. I had a lot of respect for him, the way he acted on and off the racetrack. So we picked the Aflac car because of the duck. And I know the kids are going to love it, so we can't wait for the Fan Fest and can't wait for this weekend to get started.
We're going back to Dennis up here. This is Marcus's first win as a crew chief and Dennis's last as a driver in the truck series.
Danica stood out the most to me, just because she's a female and everything she's done for the sport, but also it looks really cool. The green stands out, so hopefully everyone's watching it.
My team owner, Leaf Hawk Racing, he's meant a lot to me. He's done so much for me through my career in late models, started me out not knowing what I was doing to where I am now. Been able to lead practices in the Cars Tour and be up front in these Cars Tour races. It's hard to attest to how much he's done for me and my family.
We were looking for an influential #1 car, and immediately went to Jeff Gordon, the #1 car. He ran it in his first ever season in NASCAR, the 1990 season, and got his first win with the paint scheme in 1992.
Doing a Ray Hendrick Throwback, kind of an icon when it comes to short track races, especially the late models. Guy I've always looked up to.
What a great story. I love the paint schemes. And, Glenn, I'm with you. The ones that really stand out to us, the 28, the 43, those cars do. But then I also like those subtle, maybe less famous stories. Dylan Ward, his dad, Dean Ward, great racer over at Ace Speedway. There was a video that Doc Love put out yesterday. Dylan's a pretty rough and tumble guy. He said, but, boy, when they got that car decaled up for his dad in the race shop, it kind of took his breath away. I think the personal end of these things are the neat stories as well.
Oh, I think so too. And I sat up here while you guys were doing qualifying and was listening to what you were saying about. You got a wealth of knowledge about these people. I'm impressed, both man. But it was so cool to hear all that, to hear the in-depth stuff on it. One of the other ones that I really liked, the flying number 11, the old Ray Hendrick paint scheme. Man, I raced against him with that paint scheme here at Hickory Speedway several times, and he was bad.
Yeah, Barry Nelson went all out with that. He went with the flying 11 car for Bobby McCarty, and for his other car, Caden Honeycutt, it's an old modified driver, Perk Brown. It was an old number 45 modified. Really neat car. I was talking to Barry down there. Barry said he owns that car now. He owns that modified car. It had a very wide variety of drivers in it. He said he used to actually change the tire on that car.
Yeah, the tire.
After the race was over, he would put the tire on it so they could roll it in the trailer. They wouldn't let him do anything else. But what a neat memory. I think that's the personal side of this is really cool.
You're probably thinking I'm making this up, but I was a huge Perk Brown fan.
Really?
Back when Dad ran Sportsman in the late 50s, mid to late 50s, they ran in conjunction with the modifieds a lot, so I got to see Perk Brown. I was a huge fan. I was thrilled, too, to see that car.
That is so neat. The personal side of it, the big-time side of it is all part of Throwback Weekend here. Honeywell Homes' 5th annual Throwback Weekend here at Hickory Motor Speedway, and it is time to meet our drivers. Let's go trackside. Tony Stevens with our starting lineups.
Thank you very much, Steve. Hickory, are you ready to meet the field for tonight's Honeywell Home Throwback 276? Okay. Let's try that again. Hickory, are you ready to meet the field for tonight's Honeywell Home Throwback 276? That's more like it. Let's start with the Pro Late models. Starting 13th in the white number 8, say hello to Rusty Hughes. 12th place starter out of Denver, North Carolina. The 49 is Luke Morey. Starting 11th in car number 27, this is Lee Tissett. Starting 10th in the Jeff Gordon Baby Ruth Throwback number 1, say hello to Iowa's Cody King. Starting 9th out of Virginia, driver of the black 77 is Logan Jones. Starting 8th, the throwback to his dad with so much success here. The 29 is Nick Loden. Starting 7th, throwing back to his grandfather in the black 13, Rolly McDonald from up in Canada. This is Austin McDonald. Starting 6th, his first appearance on the tour this season. From right up and around the Asheville area, say hello to Stephen Light. Starting 5th, in a throwback to his grandfather's famous number 6, Hickory, give it up for Clark Houston. Starting 4th, his first career Cars Tour start from the Nashville area. This is William Hale. Starting 3rd from Wausau, Wisconsin in the number 96. Still looking for win number 1. This is Luke Finhouse. Starting 2nd, chasing a Pro Late Model Championship at his number 35 from Mooresville, it's Caden Quapple. Starting on the pole with a lap of 14.780 seconds, averaging nearly 88.5 miles an hour. In the famous number 4 Orange Blossom Special, it's William Solich. And that, Hickory, are the drivers set to roll in the prelim tonight. The 100-lap Pro Late Model feature. One big round of applause for our Pro Late Model participants. And tonight's main attraction, I have good news. Earlier today, we discussed those on the bubble in time trials during Hedgecock pole qualifying. By rule, the entry field was limited to 28 cars plus up to 2 Touring 12 provisionals. I have been informed that tonight Jack Mcnelly has made the decision to start them all. How about a round of applause for Jack Mcnelly? And starting 32nd in that field tonight, in the number 2, Clint Boyer, AC Delco throwback. Give it up for Mr. Hayden Swank. Starting 31st, they had to change motors because they found some metal in the oil filter. Racing for his first Cars Tour victory. Not in his car, but Rowdy's. It's Chase Dixon. Starting 30th, a near winner here a couple of years ago from Rougemont, North Carolina. The black and gold number 1 is Craig Moore. Starting 29th, in the Holly Farms, Junior Johnson number 3. Hickory, give it up for Mr. Mitch Walker. Starting 28th, honoring his grandfather in the family late model they used to campaign. Driving tonight, the black number 36. This is Georgia's Colby Higgins. Starting 27th, honoring his team owner, H.C. Sellers, in his famous and formerly dominant number 83. This is Landon Pimbleton. Starting 26th, albeit without a scheme, he's got the bloodline of a champion. The Mash family, many years here at Hickory, have seen success. Tonight, he'll roll from 26th. In car 12, it's Garrett Mash. Starting 25th, and a throwback to his father in the blue and yellow number 1. Say hello to Andrew Grady. Starting 24th, although I haven't seen the Macho Man, he's probably not far away. And a throwback to the early 90s Busch Series, Bobby Labonte number 44. This is Jansen Marchbanks. Starting 23rd, going for the one-off scheme this week. Going back to Danica Patrick at Bristol in 2017, Driver number 10 is Isabella Robusto. Starting 22nd, after a win here in March, he's chasing a championship this year in the Haas Ellington number 1. Driven by Donnie Allison and others. Say hello to Chad McCumbee. Starting 21st, honoring his grandfather, Dean Combs, in what was his first championship in the NASCAR Baby Grands in a 1975 Vega. The orange 77 is Dylan Wilson. Starting 20th, in the teal number 77, honoring his father, Dean, who was so dominant in this region for the longest time. Say hello to Dylan Ward. Starting 19th, complete with the fire suit, the same hometown, and the famous red and gold colors he made famous. The Tim Richmond Throwback, number 25, is piloted by Ashland, Ohio's Jonathan Schaefer. Starting 18th, and a throwback to his car owner, Lee Falk's days as a late model champion in Florida. The number 82 Foxy's ride is California's Braden Rogers. Starting 17th, a winner here in the past, would love to take home a throwback in the number 11, the flying number 11 of Ray Hendrick. From Kernersville, North Carolina, say hello to three-time champion Bobby McCarty. Starting 16th, from Virginia, the black number 8. And we must specify here tonight because there's a lot of them. The black, white, and orange number 8. This is Chase Burrow. Starting 15th in his first career Cars late model stock tour start. In the white number 4 for Matt Piercy Racing. Welcome Wisconsin's Luke Finhouse. Starting 14th, honoring one of his idols from a 2006 Talladega event, the black and silver, number 8, is driven by current ARCA points leader, Rajah Caruth. Starting 13th, hopefully the wheels all stay on this one here tonight. Driving the number 97 Kurt Busch Championship paint scheme. Say hello to Virginia's Daniel Silvestri. 12th place starter. Hails from North Carolina. The car, it's a throwback to a Florida late model of a multi-time champion who was instrumental in his car owner's career in motorsports. In the Joe Winchell number 57 throwback, this is Jacob Hefner. Starting 11th. In the Rainier Racing, Bobby Allison piloted number 28 Teflon ride. Give it up for Virginia's Jonathan Finley. And now the top 10. Honoring a multi-time Hickory Motor Speedway track champion and the father of a dynasty, driving the Ralph Earnhardt number 8. Say hello to Virginia's Mason Diaz. Starting 9th. If you're in the numerology, this might be your man. He doesn't quack like a duck. He doesn't drive like a duck, but he's got one on the side of the car. And the Carl Edwards Aflac throwback number 99. Hickory, let's hear it for Deke McCaskill. Aflac. Starting 8th. Complete with the t-shirt, the hat, and all. And if you believe it, Damn, he's good. The Dale Earnhardt Rookie of the Year throwback is Carter Langley. Starting 7th to a legendary modified run all throughout the Southeast, one of which is in his car owner's shop. In the number 45, let's hear it for Mr. Caden Honeycutt. Starting 6th in a car his grandfather owned and sponsored. They got, ultimately, he and his dad both hooked on this sport. Back to the 1984 Busch Series, the 02 is Brandon Pierce. Starting 5th in the Jeff Burton Rookie of the Year 1994 ride, the blue number 8 is Zach Miracle. Starting 4th in a throwback scheme to Dennis Setzer's win at Martinsville in the NASCAR Truck Series. The last win for his crew chief, Marcus Richmond, at that level. The white number 18 is Connor Jones. Starting 3rd, driving a paint scheme that his father made his NASCAR Cup Series debut with at Martinsville way back in about 2004? I can't do the math, but that's okay. His dad didn't remember where it was either. Driver number 06 leads the points here tonight. Everybody say hello to Carson Quapple. Only appropriate that this front row is on a throwback short track race. On the outside, driving the Richard Petty 200th win commemorative car from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, it's William Sawalich. And on the pole, in the Dick Trickle number 99 White Knight, a classic and a great way to honor a short track hero. Say hello to the most recent race winner on the Cars Tour. The 99 is Connor Hall. And that, Steve and Glenn, is our starting lineup for both of tonight's events, the pros and the late model stocks. And in just about 6 minutes and 12 seconds, we will be back trackside for opening ceremonies.
There we go. Opening ceremonies. The cars are driving in the Pro Late Model Tour race. Glenn Jarrett and Steve Post here back high atop the tower. Here as we are down to just over right around 6 minutes before the command to get things fired up here. Crowd is shuffled in here. Really, really good. Good-looking crowd here at Hickory Motor Speedway. And just fun stuff. Glenn, you and I were chatting up here during driver introductions a little bit. We've talked about your history here. We even talked about your dad taking over as far as that goes. Where did it all start, though, for the Jarrett family and Hickory Motor Speedway?
Steve, it started about, I'm going to say about 8 miles from here in a country garage over at the intersection of Hickory-Lincolnton Highway and Highway 10.
Yeah.
And it started in a poker game.
Uh-oh.
My dad won the last pot in the poker game, about $600 in 1952. The guy he won it from said, "Dad, I'm sorry, I don't have the money to pay you." My dad said, "What do you mean? I won fair and square." He said, "I know you did." He said, "But I'm going to give you half interest in a race car that I own." And he said, "My partner is your brother-in-law, a guy by the name of John Lentz."
Yeah.
And he said, "I know you know John." Dad said, "Yeah, I know him." Said, Dad had been looking for a way to get into racing. But
Petty, yeah.
His dad, my granddad, wouldn't have any of it. He just, "No, boy, you stay away from that." So before Dad even got home that night, he found out that Dad had won the car, or half interest in the car. He told him, "I better not ever catch you driving that." Well, long story short, Uncle John was a great mechanic. He was trying to drive the car, but he was not a good driver at all. And so Dad finally conned him into letting him drive the car. And the first time that Dad drove the car, he won the race.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it all started with a poker game.
A poker game. There we go. A poker game and a golf game for you.
A golf game for me, a poker game for Dad.
Man, Neil Jarrett's getting right into it. That is for sure. And neat stuff. It really, truly is. So fun stuff and looking good. And so the drivers are climbing aboard the race cars for the pro race. 100 laps for the pro race, 100 laps, and then the late model stock race, the Solid Rock Carriers late model stock race is 138 laps. So we'll have both of those coming up here in just a little bit as the drivers climb aboard, and really, really fun. When I look at Hickory Motor Speedway, the history of it, you referenced it. Boy, I'm telling you what, Glenn, the names, and there's a lot of drivers, and we've talked about some of them, but everything from series officials to mechanics. This place, it says on the wall, the birthplace, or America's most famous short track and the birthplace of NASCAR stars. That goes deeper than just drivers as far as NASCAR stars go.
Absolutely, Steve. Again, I have told people for so many years about how very many people there are from around here that have made NASCAR their life's work, not just the drivers. You know, we're in obviously right outside of Hickory, North Carolina now, which is in Catawba County.
Yep.
We are the only county in the United States, only county in the world that has 3 NASCAR Cup Series champions from here.
Really?
Yeah, Ned Jarrett, my dad won
Right.
it twice. Bobby Isaac
Right.
won it in 1970, and my brother Dale won it in 1999.
Oh, my gosh.
All
You
from
think
here
about
in
that
Catawba
right here in
County.
Catawba
So
County, yeah.
It's pretty cool, the amount of talent that has come into NASCAR from the local surroundings. Right
Yeah,
here.
really, truly is. It really is. And it's a real treat to come up here to this racetrack. It is a throwback racetrack, throwback weekend. And I must say as well, the 2022 season here at Hickory Motor Speedway has been really, really good and been fun to watch, that's for sure. Drivers climb aboard the car. Let's go back trackside to Tony Stevens.
Well, fans, it's that time for opening ceremonies here at the Hickory Motor Speedway. You ask, if you're able, please rise. Gentlemen, please remove your hats as we honor both God and country first with our invocation, followed by the singing of our national anthem. First, Cars Tour Series chaplain with our invocation, the Reverend Joe Lewis.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, we pray, dear God, that we would have, Lord, a safe day, a safe race. I pray for protection for every soul in this place. Lord, protect us, guide us, and most of all, Lord, let us praise you when we can. In Jesus' name, amen.
And if you remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Mr. Keith Porter.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Just moments away from firing engines with everybody is ready to go. Steve, Glenn, I know you got plenty of stories up top. We're going to make sure drivers are ready to go. And, well, we won't look that way because we all have weather apps, but things are looking good for now. We'll be racing here in just a moment.
All right. We are back here at Hickory Motor Speedway. Those of you joining us on our social media channels, we are getting ready to cut off our social media feed. So you need to go to www.carstour.tv to watch this live as we are getting set. Drivers are buckling in this historic race, the 5th annual Honeywell Homes Throwback 276 here at historic Hickory Motor Speedway, America's most famous short track, the birthplace of NASCAR stars, and we're going to see tonight who can come out of here and claim the crown. When we look at this, racing did take place here at Hickory earlier this season with the Cars Tour and the Pro Late Model Tour. They both raced back here